Hey guys, thanks for watching me as newpairofglasses.com. In today's video, we are going to talk about memory, the altering of factual evidence, and especially as it pertains to natural phenomena. We're going to talk about the tactics and techniques that the controllers use against the population, as well as some notable changes to discuss. And the first thing I want to touch on that is very, very important is memory. That memory is fallible and it is not reliable. And one of the things that really works against us as we lead up to the EMPCOE is the slow progression and changes of events. So some things have happened quickly, but others have happened very, very subtly and slowly over time. For example, the colors of the horizon, the changes of the sky color, and other different things. And so unless you have a firm hold on what you remember, it can be very difficult to recall what things were actually like. And that is something that if you have paid attention, the controllers are very, very aware of. If you studied psychology or the human mind at all, you will know that memory is not something that can be trusted, and it can be very easily manipulated. So that is a big obstacle we are up against, and we're going to talk about that. If you have photo or video documenting things, that can make things a lot easier, but most of us have not done that in many different areas. So it'll be seldom that you have some kind of physical documentation of events. And this is something I've wanted to talk about as this has changed dramatically, is rainbows. This is what rainbows used to look like. I have always taken pictures of rainbows over the years, and these are some rainbows I captured in San Diego back in 2013. So this is what the sky and rainbows used to look like. But now what we are seeing is huge changes in that, and those have seemed to come about more suddenly than some changes. If you were catching a double rainbow, this is what a double rainbow generally looked like. And now we have rainbows appearing like this, and appearing like this. So now we have inside the rainbow is generally more lit up. It's a lighter shade and actually even a different color than right outside the rainbow. Here we have a lighter color, a pink, inside the rainbow, and outside we have a darker purplish color. And they generally seem to be more lit up at the bottom corners of the rainbow. But this is not what rainbows used to look like. I cannot give you an answer on why this is happening. This is optics. It's extremely complicated. But we do know that it is a dramatic change, and rainbows never used to appear like that. And on the subject of rainbows, this is an interesting video that was put on the EMPCOE, current EMPCOE science page this week, where we have these, they almost look like sparkly lights in the sky. That can almost appear to look like birds because they, and I zoomed in a little bit on this, they appear to be moving in some sort of a formation, but these are not birds. If you watch closely, you can see that they kind of sparkle and they fade in and out. And it's very similar to a video that somebody captured, I believe it was a week ago, of something that they first thought to be birds. But again, it is not birds. These are some kind of plasma lights that can appear to look like birds. They look like they're moving in a formation, but again, they fade in and out of sight. So these are not birds. Brian and I actually saw these in San Diego on a few occasions, and we initially thought they were birds, and after watching for a while, we realized that they were not birds at all. So this could be another reason why birds are such, have a huge representation in ancient depictions and artwork. And so when I see these color skies and these rainbows, I automatically go back to images from when I was a child and all the way through now, which is My Little Pony, right? So we have these depictions where you have pink and purple skies, you have the pastel pink rainbows, and that very well could be a method that the controllers use to condition children to think that it's always been that way. Because if you don't remember what it used to be like, then you revert back to the things that you have been exposed to. And they use a lot of different, very, very subtle, very sneaky techniques to normalize this so that people don't remember what things were actually like. And using all types of media is a main one, and we're going to get into that. But first I want to touch on how they're actually manipulating electronic forms of information and how easily they do that, and how they're using that as a tool to confuse people and change history on how we think things were and how things work. So pretty much Wikipedia has become the standard for, quote, fact checking. And if you haven't noticed, YouTube has started putting little boxes underneath videos, and it's generally what they consider conspiracy theory videos with different factual evidence. So if you see a video on sun halos, underneath it, you will see a box that talks about contrails and what they say contrails are. And this is a huge, basically, tool and war on true information that they're using for anybody who might be looking up questions and things where they put some, establishment official lie underneath the video to dissuade people. And, this is very disheartening. Wikipedia stated that they didn't have anything to do with this. They're not in partnership with Google. But if you've been paying attention, you will know that it is all run by the same people. And Wikipedia has never been and continues to not be a factual method to check what is true and how things are. That information is the status quo disinformation, and they use that now to basically turn people away from any information that somebody might be giving in a YouTube video. What is concerning to me is how they are changing and updating information. And I want to talk about an email that I got from Royce, one of our members, where we had a conversation about this, because it's been something that has been very frustrating for me when I go back to look up, was Orion's top left star always orange? I watched that constellation my entire life, and those star colors were always the same color. But now the top left one seems to be more orangey, and over the last couple months now, the bottom left star has started to turn a more warmer color. So I want to read you this email that she sent, because this is a really good example of what they are doing. So let's read her email. She says, "Hi Mia, cyclone seasons on Wikipedia were recently edited. Up until today, some edited on the same day within 1 minute of each other. Even the old records back to 1970s have had updates. Looks like they have added a statement to support cyclones that might occur off-season. They named it a cyclone year and explained that it's separate to a cyclone season. I grew up in cyclone-prone areas and never heard of cyclones in winter, but Bureau of Meteorology is already suggesting there might be cyclones in June or July of this year." So this is the kind of critical thinking and critical eye that you need to have to stay on top of things, to know what is true and what is really going on. And you have to be able to look at things and see through their deceptions and their tactics to skew information. So this is absolutely happening. It's very... you're not going to have a good chance of going back and finding how things really are, relying on any kind of establishment truths or electronic media. Because then you're going to go back, people are going to look up something like this, and there's going to be some name, some term, some explanation for it, and you won't know if that's always been there, whether it's true or not, and, we just have no way of knowing. By the way, that was the, quote, tornado that occurred yesterday in Romania. That if you've seen tornadoes your life, it's not a regular tornado. We don't know what exactly that is. Okay, on to some other methods. So if you have a really keen eye and you go back and watch old movies and you're looking for what the sky and different things really look like, they have actually edited and changed the coloring of old movies. And, there's movies that I know that the sky wasn't colored that and it didn't look that way. And the whole color of the movie is off because of what they have done to these newer versions of these movies to alter the color. So you can tell that the entire video color is off. So you won't be able to go back to old movies to see what the sky really looked like. Some you will, but most you won't. And Disney's been doing this for a while. If you go pretty far back with their intros, that they have the pink clouds in the sky and the different pastel purple colors that we're seeing now. And it's easy for them to get ahead of this since they knew what the signs would be. So the intro to Disney, not only did I think it was interesting, they had the halo of the sparkle lights, but the coloring of the sky and the clouds as well. So next, we're going to go to the moon. And this is something that Brian is going to discuss in a future video. He's going to talk specifically about why the moon is appearing the way it is. But this is an actual image of what the moon used to look like. It was perfectly spherical, the edges were smooth, and the color was white. But now what we are seeing and what you can actually see with your naked eye, so this is not an optical illusion, this is actually something that's happening and changing. And I'm going to play you a clip from the new Lion King trailer. And Brian actually caught this. And this is how clever they are. I want to see if you catch it. So I'm going to play it a few times. So here I've slowed it down, okay? Here you can see the blue color that is around the top edge of the moon. And you can actually see the waviness of the outline of the moon. And in this trailer, it's waving actually around. It's not just like dents in it. It's waving around the outside of the moon. And what we are seeing is the actual plasma energy moving around the moon. So now if they are putting this in a movie, that means that they've noticed it, that they know it's happening. They have to catch it to be able to stick these things into movies and things that we're exposed to. So here is another video of the moon rise where you can see the waviness around the edges of the outside of the moon. And in some videos you can actually see the wave in front of the moon. So again, Brian's going to talk about this, but this is not an effect that is happening as the moon just comes over the horizon. This is something that is happening no matter where the moon is in the sky. And the first time we noticed it was right around winter solstice of this year. And I've talked about the colors around the edge of the moon in a few videos that I've done. And here is a recent video that an amateur footage YouTuber caught from around the moon, where you can see the blue around the top edge. And they noticed it, and they noticed the waviness around the edges of the moon. So if this was always that way, people wouldn't be questioning that. But if you've watched the sky, you've watched the moon, you know that it has not always been this way. These are recent changes that are happening, and they are going to do everything they can to distort and confuse people's memory so that they don't remember that it wasn't like that. So to recognize the changes that are happening, you have to know how things were. It's why it's so important to pay attention, and why it's so important for the controllers to have a device, a smartphone, in everybody's hand, so that they are not looking around to see what's going on. They are looking down at some electronic screen. That's the best way to conceal what's going on. So if you guys haven't watched Brian's series on survival and packing, it's an amazing, helpful series. Check that out. Everybody stay safe, be good to one another, and God bless.